"Grandpa, the pills look different." That's what my granddaughter Emma said, 7 years old, standing in my bathroom doorway while I sorted my morning medications. I looked down at the bottle in my hand. Blood pressure pills I'd been taking for 6 years. They did look different. Lighter color. I asked Emma what she meant. She went quiet. Then she whispered that she'd seen her mother opening my pill bottles the night before, replacing something. I stood there, holding that bottle while ice spread through my chest. My daughter Patricia had a key to my house, had access to everything. The question wasn't whether Emma was telling the truth. The question was what Patricia had put in these bottles and why. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. My name is Arthur Brennan, 71 years old, retired electrical contractor. Been living in this house for 43 years. Same house where Patricia grew up, same house where my wife Helen died 2 years ago from complications of diabetes. Patricia's my only child. Got one granddaughter, Emma. Patricia's been divorced 3 years now. Works as a pharmaceutical sales rep. Makes good money from what she tells me. Always dressed sharp. Drives a new Lexus. Lives in a condo 20 minutes from here. After Helen died, Patricia started coming around more. Said she wanted to help. Said I shouldn't be alone. Started showing up unannounced. Letting herself in with the key we'd given her years back for emergencies. At first, I thought it was nice. Thought maybe losing her mother had made her want to be closer. Should have known better. That morning with Emma happened on a Tuesday, March 14th. I remember because it was exactly 2 weeks before my annual physical. Patricia had brought Emma over the night before, said she had an evening work event, and asked if Emma could stay over. I'd said yes. Always said yes when it came to Emma. Emma had watched me sort my pills that morning. I'd been doing it the same way for years. Monday through Sunday containers, 4 different medications, blood pressure, cholesterol, baby aspirin, vitamin D. Nothing complicated, but Emma was right. The blood pressure pills looked wrong, lighter, almost white instead of pale yellow. I asked Emma to tell me exactly what she saw. She said she'd gotten up to use the bathroom around 10 o'clock the night before. Saw light coming from my bedroom. The door was cracked open. She'd peeked in, saw her mother standing at my dresser where I keep my medications. Patricia had been opening bottles, taking pills out, putting different pills in. Emma said she'd watched for almost a minute before going back to bed. Said she was scared to say anything then. But when she saw me that morning, about to take those pills, she couldn't stay quiet. 7 years old. That's how old she was when she saved my life. I didn't take the pills that morning. Told Emma we'd keep this between us for now. Drove her to school myself instead of waiting for Patricia to pick her up. Then I came home and started looking. Found 3 bottles with pills that didn't match. Blood pressure medication, cholesterol. Even the vitamin D looked different. I'd been taking these pills every single day, some of them twice a day. For how long? When did Patricia start switching them? I called my pharmacist, Frank Rodriguez. Known him for 15 years. Asked him to describe exactly what my blood pressure medication should look like. He described the pale yellow pills I remembered, not the white ones in my bottle. I told him I thought there might have been a manufacturing error. Asked if I could bring them in. Brought all 3 bottles to the pharmacy that afternoon. Frank took one look and his face changed. These weren't my medications, weren't even close. The blood pressure pills were actually diuretics, strong ones. The cholesterol medication was something else entirely. He couldn't identify it without testing. The vitamin D was acetaminophen, regular Tylenol. Frank asked where I'd gotten these. I told him I thought someone might have tampered with my prescriptions. He went quiet. Then he said I needed to call the police, said if someone was switching my medications, especially blood pressure medication for diuretics, they were trying to hurt me. Could cause kidney failure, dehydration, heart arrhythmia. At my age, with my conditions, it could kill me. I sat in my truck in the pharmacy parking lot for 20 minutes, trying to process it. My daughter, my only child, the girl I'd raised, the woman I'd supported through her divorce, through every crisis she'd ever had. She'd been poisoning me. The money came into focus then, sharp and clear. I'd given Patricia $52,000 for her condo down payment 4 years ago. She'd said she needed to be in a good school district for Emma, needed a fresh start after the divorce. I'd liquidated some of Helen's life insurance to help, paid for Emma's private school tuition, $2,200 a month. Been paying it for 2 years, $28,800 total. Patricia's car payment when she was between jobs last year, $680 a month for 7 months, $4,760. The divorce lawyer, $8,500. She'd said her ex wasn't paying his share, said she needed help, or she'd lose custody of Emma. Medical bills, car repairs, emergency vet bills for a dog she didn't even have anymore. 3 years of, "Can you help me with?" and just this once, and I'll pay you back. I'd kept track without meaning to. Bank statements stacked in my desk drawer. Every transfer, every check, every withdrawal. $127,300 in 3 years, not counting the monthly dinners I paid for, the groceries I bought when she said money was tight, the gas money, the birthday presents for Emma that Patricia never seemed to have budget for, the school supplies, the dance lessons, the summer camp, not counting the time, the babysitting, every Friday night for 6 months last year while Patricia went to business dinners. Turned out later she'd been dating someone, never mentioned it, just dropped Emma off and picked her up 4 hours later. No thank you, no acknowledgement that I might have had plans. I called my lawyer that afternoon, Martin Webb. He'd handled Helen's estate. I told him what happened. He went quiet for a long time. Then he said I needed to file a police report immediately, said this was attempted murder, said I needed to protect myself legally before Patricia realized I knew. Called the police from Martin's office. 2 officers came, young guy named Rodriguez, older woman named Chen. I showed them the pill bottles, told them what Emma had seen, told them what the pharmacist said. Officer Chen asked if Patricia had financial motivation. I showed them my bank statements. 3 years of transfers. The pattern was obvious. They took the pill bottles as evidence, said they'd need to have them tested. Asked if I felt safe at home. Asked if Patricia had any history of violence. I said no. Said I just wanted this documented. Wanted Emma protected. Officer Chen looked at me for a long moment. Then she asked, "Does your daughter know about your will?" She did. I'd told her 2 years ago, right after Helen died. Standard will. Everything split between Patricia and Emma's education fund, the house, my retirement accounts, Helen's remaining life insurance, around $340,000 total after the mortgage was paid off. Patricia had asked detailed questions about the will, how it was structured, when Emma would get her portion, what would happen if I needed long-term care. I'd thought she was being practical, planning ahead, making sure Emma would be taken care of. Officer Chen wrote everything down, said they'd contact Patricia for an interview, said I should consider changing my locks, getting security cameras, not letting Patricia know I'd filed a report until they'd completed their investigation. I thanked them, drove home, sat in my truck in the driveway for 30 minutes before going inside. The house felt different, contaminated somehow. I walked through every room looking for what else might be wrong, what else Patricia might have done. Found my financial documents disturbed, papers in my desk drawer slightly out of order, bank statements that had been moved. My will folder opened, documents not quite aligned the way I'd left them. My bedroom felt violated. The dresser where I kept medications, the nightstand where I kept Helen's jewelry, the pieces I'd planned to give Emma someday. Everything looked normal, but knowing Patricia had been in here, going through things, plotting, I couldn't stay in that house that night. Packed a bag, drove to a Holiday Inn Express off the highway, paid cash, didn't use my credit card. Didn't want Patricia tracking me if she checked. Lay awake most of the night thinking about Emma. 7 years old, living with someone who'd poison her own father. What else was Patricia capable of? What would she do when she realized Emma had told me? Called Martin Webb first thing Wednesday morning. Told him I wanted to change my will immediately. He said we should wait until after the police investigation. Said any changes now might look reactive, might be challenged. I didn't care. Wanted Patricia's name off every document I had. Martin convinced me to wait 72 hours. Said if I made changes while emotional, while under stress, Patricia could argue I wasn't of sound mind, could contest everything. Better to document my competency first, then make changes from a position of strength. Made an appointment with my doctor for that afternoon, Dr. Sarah Vance. She'd been my physician for 12 years. I told her what happened, showed her the police report number, asked her to document my mental state, run whatever cognitive tests she needed to prove I was competent. She was quiet while I talked. Then she pulled up my chart, asked if I'd noticed any unusual symptoms lately. Dizziness, confusion, fatigue. I had. Past few months I'd been feeling off. Dizzy when I stood up, tired all the time, trouble concentrating. I'd mentioned it at my last checkup in January. Dr. Vance had adjusted my blood pressure medication, said we'd monitor it. That adjustment happened right after Patricia had asked detailed questions about my health, asked if I was taking my medications regularly, if I ever forgot doses, if I had any side effects. Dr. Vance looked at me, said my symptoms were consistent with taking the wrong medications, said if I'd been taking diuretics instead of blood pressure medication for months, it would explain everything. Dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, dizziness, fatigue, confusion. She said if I'd continued, I would have been hospitalized within weeks. Kidney failure, possibly heart failure. At 71, with my medical history, recovery would have been unlikely. Patricia had been killing me slowly, making it look natural, making it look like age and declining health. Dr. Vance ran a full cognitive assessment. Memory tests, problem solving, clock drawing, everything. Perfect scores. She documented that I was of sound mind, competent, no signs of dementia or impaired judgment. She wrote a detailed letter for my lawyer, dated it, signed it, said if anyone questioned my mental state, this would prove otherwise. I sat in that examination room after she left, staring at the anatomical posters on the wall. Heart, lungs, kidneys, all the things Patricia had been systematically damaging. My phone buzzed. Patricia. Dad, I stopped by the house to check on you. Where are you? Are you okay? No. Good morning. No actual concern. Just irritation that I wasn't where she expected me to be. I stared at that text for a full minute. Then I typed back, I'm fine. Staying with a friend for a few days. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. What friend? Why didn't you tell me? Is everything okay? The thing was, I didn't have close friends anymore. Most of my buddies from work had died or moved away. Helen had been my best friend. After she died, I'd mostly kept to myself. Patricia knew that. She knew I didn't have friends I'd stay with. She was checking to see if I was lying, checking to see if I knew. I didn't respond, turned off my phone, drove back to the hotel. Thursday morning, Martin Webb called the hotel. Police had contacted Patricia for an interview. She'd come in with her own lawyer. Denied everything. Said Emma must have been confused. Said she'd been in my room that night, but only to check on me. Said she'd noticed some of my pill bottles were disorganized and had straightened them. Said she never switched anything. The pill bottles were at the lab being tested. Results would take a week. Until then, it was my word and Emma's against Patricia's. Martin said Patricia's lawyer had already started building a defense, claiming I was experiencing cognitive decline, claiming I was paranoid, claiming I was making false accusations because I was angry Patricia had suggested I consider assisted living. That stopped me cold. She suggested what? Martin sighed, said Patricia had documented conversations about my declining health going back 6 months, emails to herself, notes in her phone, creating a paper trail showing she was a concerned daughter worried about her aging father. When I accused her of poisoning me, she'd claim it was dementia, paranoia. Classic elder abuse accusation from someone who wasn't mentally competent. It was smart, calculated. If I'd died, it would have looked natural. If I'd survived but suffered organ damage, she would have pushed for guardianship, claimed I couldn't care for myself, put me in a facility and taken control of my assets. Either way, she won. But she hadn't counted on Emma, hadn't counted on a 7-year-old having more courage than most adults. I asked Martin about Emma's safety. He said Patricia had full custody. Unless Child Protective Services got involved, there was nothing I could legally do. I asked if Emma witnessing her mother poison someone counted. Martin said it should, said he'd contact CPS. But these things moved slowly. Emma was living with Patricia right now, going to school, sleeping in that condo every night. I couldn't sleep Thursday night. Kept thinking about Emma, what Patricia might do if she suspected Emma had talked. Patricia was smart, controlled, but she was also desperate now, cornered. Friday morning my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered it. Patricia, using a different phone. Dad, we need to talk. This has gotten out of hand. Her voice was calm, reasonable. The same voice she'd used when she was 16 and got caught shoplifting. when she was 23 and I'd found out she'd dropped out of college after I'd paid for 2 years. The "let's be rational" voice that came out when she'd been caught. "There's nothing to talk about. Dad, please, I know you're upset. I know you think I did something wrong, but you're confused. You've been forgetting things, getting mixed up. I've been worried about you for months. I have a cognitive evaluation from Dr. Vance, dated 2 days ago. Perfect score." Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then, "You went to Dr. Vance? What did you tell her?" "The truth." "Dad, listen to me. You're making a huge mistake. If you pursue this, if you talk to police, if you talk to lawyers, you're going to look unstable, paranoid. Do you understand what that means? It means you won't be able to live independently. It means I'll have to get guardianship. For your own safety." There it was. The threat I'd been waiting for. The power play. "You switched my medications. Emma saw you." Emma's 7 years old. She has an active imagination. She gets confused. You know that. The pharmacist identified the pills. They're not what was prescribed. Another pause. "Manufacturing error. It happens. Or you picked up the wrong prescription. You've been so scattered lately." She had an answer for everything. Every piece of evidence explained away. She'd thought this through. "Stay away from me, Patricia. Stay away from my house." "Dad, I'm trying to help you. I love you. You're my father. I'm not going to abandon you just because you're sick." Sick. She was already using that word. Already framing me as incompetent. "If you love me, you'll tell the truth." "I am telling the truth. You're the one who's confused." I hung up, turned off the phone, sat on the hotel bed shaking, not from fear, from rage, pure, focused rage. My daughter had tried to kill me, and now she was gaslighting me, threatening me with guardianship, using my age, my grief, my isolation against me. Martin Webb called the hotel desk later that afternoon, had them transfer the call to my room. He'd heard from Patricia's lawyer. They were offering a settlement. Patricia would agree to stay away from me, wouldn't contest any will changes, wouldn't pursue guardianship. In exchange, I'd drop the police investigation and sign a statement saying the accusations were made in error due to stress and grief. I asked Martin what he thought. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "The lab results won't be conclusive. She could claim she bought the pills from the same pharmacy and there was a mix-up. Could claim you made the switch yourself and forgot. Without video evidence of her actually switching the pills, this becomes he said, she said. She has documentation of your declining health. You have Emma's testimony, but she's 7, and Patricia is her custodial parent. So she gets away with it. Unless you want to spend years in court, spend thousands on lawyers and risk losing anyway? Yes, she probably does." I thought about Emma, thought about Patricia having full custody, thought about what Patricia might do if I pushed this, if I backed her into a corner. "No settlement. The investigation to continue. I want those pills tested. I want everything documented." Martin sighed. "Arthur, I have to advise. I don't care about your advice right now. I care about my granddaughter. Patricia tried to kill me. She'll do it again if she thinks she can get away with it. Maybe not to me, but someday someone will be in her way, someone who can't fight back." Martin was quiet. Then, "Okay, we'll fight it. But you need to prepare for this to get ugly." It got ugly. Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. Turned on my phone to find it flooded with messages. Patricia had gone nuclear. Posted on Facebook. Long, detailed post about her elderly father who was experiencing dementia, who was making wild accusations, who needed help but was refusing it. She'd painted herself as the dutiful daughter trying desperately to care for a father who was deteriorating mentally. 300+ likes. 127 comments. People I'd known for years offering sympathy, offering prayers, offering to help Patricia through this difficult time. She'd contacted my old co-workers, people I'd worked with for 30 years, told them I was struggling, needed support, asked them to reach out, make sure I was okay. Half a dozen emails from men I'd known since the 80s, all saying they'd heard I was having trouble, all offering help, all treating me like I was fragile, broken. She'd called my insurance company, told them I was experiencing cognitive decline, suggested they check my driving record, make sure I was still safe to drive. They'd flagged my account, sent a letter to the hotel requiring me to take a driver evaluation before my next policy renewal. She'd contacted my bank, reported suspected elder financial abuse, said she was worried someone was taking advantage of me. They'd frozen my accounts pending investigation. I couldn't access my own money. All of this in 18 hours. All perfectly legal, all designed to make me look incompetent, make me look like exactly what she was claiming, a confused old man who couldn't manage his own affairs. Martin Webb called Saturday afternoon, said Patricia's lawyer had filed for emergency guardianship, claiming I was a danger to myself, claiming I needed immediate intervention. Hearing scheduled for Tuesday morning, 4 days. She'd managed to line up a guardianship hearing in 4 days. I asked Martin what I needed to do. He said show up. Bring the cognitive evaluation. Bring evidence I'd been managing my affairs competently. Bank statements. Bills paid on time. Medical records showing I'd been attending appointments. Anything that proved I was fine. The problem was my bank accounts were frozen. My medical records would show the symptoms Patricia had caused. The dizziness, the fatigue, the confusion, it all supported her narrative. Martin said we'd deal with it. Said the cognitive evaluation was strong, said Dr. Vance would testify if needed, said we had a case. But I could hear the doubt in his voice, the hesitation. This was going to be close. Sunday I drove back to my house. First time since Wednesday. The locks hadn't been changed yet. Security cameras weren't installed yet. Everything looked normal, quiet. The house I'd lived in for 43 years. Went inside. Nothing was obviously disturbed, but I could feel it. The violation. Knowing Patricia had been in here, going through my things, planning my death in the same rooms where I'd raised her, where Helen and I had celebrated anniversaries, where we'd hosted Christmases and birthdays and ordinary Tuesdays that felt like nothing special until they were gone. Started going through documents, financial records, medical files, anything that proved competency. Found my tax returns, filed on time every year for 50 years. Found paid utility bills, house maintenance records, everything organized, everything current. Found photo albums, Patricia's childhood, birthday parties at this house, Helen smiling, Patricia blowing out candles, Patricia opening presents, Patricia hugging me. The father she'd loved before I became worth more dead than alive. Sat at the kitchen table, the one Helen and I had picked out 30 years ago. Oak, solid, built to last. I'd refinished it twice. Once after Patricia had carved her name into it when she was 8. Once after Helen died and I needed something to do with my hands. Same table where we'd had family dinners, where Patricia had done her homework, where Helen and I had gone over bills and planned vacations and made decisions about our life together. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it. "Mr. Brennan? This is Detective Sarah Campus. I'm with the county sheriff's office. I've been assigned to your case. Do you have a moment to talk?" Patricia hadn't expected this. She'd thought it would be handled at the local level. Low priority. Old man making accusations. But Martin had pushed it higher. Made noise. Got it assigned to someone who actually investigated. Detective Campos asked if I could come to her office Monday morning. Bring everything I had. She wanted to build a timeline. Document everything. She said the lab results on the pills had come back preliminary. The pills in my prescription bottles were not what had been prescribed. That was confirmed. Now she needed to prove Patricia had made the switch. I told her about the guardianship hearing Tuesday. She swore softly, said that complicated things. Said if Patricia got guardianship, it would be harder to prosecute. Made me look like an unreliable witness. She'd try to expedite the investigation. But these things took time. Time I didn't have. Monday morning, I met Detective Campos at her office. Brought every document I had. She was younger than I'd expected, early 40s, sharp, focused. She went through everything methodically, asked detailed questions, took notes, asked about Emma, whether I thought Patricia would hurt her. I'd been thinking about that. Patricia needed Emma. Needed to look like a devoted mother. Needed the sympathy. The single mom doing her best narrative. She wouldn't hurt Emma. Not while Emma was useful. But if Emma became a liability? If Emma testified against her? I didn't know. Detective Campos said she'd contact Child Protective Services again. Push them to do a welfare check. It wasn't much. But it was something. The guardianship hearing was Tuesday morning at 9. I wore the suit I'd worn to Helen's funeral. Navy blue. Conservative. Needed to look competent. Stable. Not like the confused old man Patricia was claiming. Patricia was already there. Looking professional. Worried. Playing the part perfectly. Her lawyer was a woman in her 50s. Expensive suit. Confident. Martin sat beside me at the defendant's table. Defendant. Like I'd committed a crime by staying alive. The judge was a man in his 60s. Judge Martinez. He'd been on the bench for 20 years, seen everything. His face gave away nothing. Patricia's lawyer went first, presented the case. Arthur Brennan, 71 years old, recent widower, experiencing cognitive decline, making paranoid accusations against his devoted daughter, freezing her out, refusing reasonable suggestions about assisted living, unable to manage his medications, multiple documented incidents of confusion and memory loss. She entered Patricia's notes into evidence. Months of documentation. Dad forgot our dinner plans. Dad called me 3 times asking the same question. Dad seems confused about his medications. Dad's house is becoming disorganized. None of it was true. But it was documented, dated, detailed. She called Patricia to testify. Patricia took the stand, composed, sad, testified about her concern for me, how I'd changed after Mom died, how she'd tried to help, but I'd become suspicious, paranoid, how she'd found my medications disorganized and tried to help sort them, how I'd accused her of poisoning me, how frightened she was for my safety. She cried. Not dramatic, just a few tears, wiping them away, apologizing for getting emotional. She was good. Martin cross-examined, asked about the financial transfers. Patricia had an answer. She was a single mother. I'd offered to help. She'd never asked. I'd insisted. She'd been grateful. Planned to pay me back when she was more stable financially. Asked about the pills. Why would she switch my medications? What possible motive? She loved her father, was trying to help him. This was all a misunderstanding caused by his declining mental state. Martin introduced the cognitive evaluation from Dr. Vance. Perfect scores. Documented competency. Patricia's lawyer objected. Said one evaluation didn't prove long-term competency. Said cognitive decline was episodic. Said I might have good days and bad days. Martin called me to testify. I took the stand. Looked at Judge Martinez. Told the truth. Told him about the $127,300. Showed him bank statements. Told him about Emma seeing Patricia switch the pills. Told him about the pharmacy confirming the pills were wrong. Told him about Patricia's threats, the guardianship, the social media campaign, the frozen bank accounts. Told him I'd managed my affairs independently for 71 years, raised a daughter, ran a business, paid my taxes, maintained my home, buried my wife, done everything right. And now my daughter wanted me declared incompetent because I'd discovered she was trying to kill me. Patricia's lawyer objected, said I was being inflammatory. Judge Martinez sustained, told me to stick to facts. The facts were simple. I was competent. I had documentation. I had witnesses. I had evidence. Patricia had notes on her phone and manufactured concern. Judge Martinez called a recess, said he'd review the evidence and issue a ruling after lunch. Martin and I sat in the hallway. He said it could go either way. Said the cognitive evaluation was strong, but Patricia's documentation was extensive. Judge might err on the side of caution, might appoint a temporary guardian pending further evaluation. Patricia walked past. Didn't look at me. Her lawyer was talking to her, reassuring her. Detective Campos appeared at the end of the hallway, motioned to Martin. They spoke quietly. Martin's expression changed. He came back, leaned in close. Lab results are final. The pills in your bottles are confirmed wrong. Diuretics, acetaminophen, and something else they're still identifying. The pharmacy has records of your actual prescriptions. No mix-up, no error. Someone deliberately switched them. Does the judge know? He will in 5 minutes. Court reconvened at 2. Judge Martinez had the lab report. Read it carefully. Asked Patricia's lawyer if she wanted to respond. She claimed manufacturing error, pharmacy error. Said her client had no access to prescription medications, no means to obtain the wrong pills, no opportunity to switch them without being noticed. Martin submitted the police report, Emma's witness statement, the timeline showing Patricia had opportunity every time she'd checked on me. Judge Martinez looked at Patricia, then at me, then at the documents in front of him. Mrs. Brennan, I'm denying your petition for guardianship. Mr. Brennan has demonstrated competency through multiple evaluations. The allegations regarding medication tampering are serious and currently under investigation. Until that investigation concludes, I see no basis for emergency guardianship. Patricia's face went white, then red. Her lawyer touched her arm, whispered something. Patricia stood, started to say something. Her lawyer pulled her back, shook her head. Judge Martinez continued. Mr. Brennan, I'm issuing a temporary restraining order. Mrs. Brennan is not to contact you directly or come within 500 feet of your residence. This order remains in effect pending the outcome of the criminal investigation. If you feel unsafe, contact police immediately. He banged the gavel. Court dismissed. Patricia stared at me across the courtroom, not angry, not sad, calculating, like she was reassessing, figuring out her next move. I stared back, held her gaze, let her see I wasn't afraid, wasn't backing down, wasn't the confused old man she'd thought she was killing. She looked away first. Outside the courthouse, Martin said we'd won the battle, but the war wasn't over. Patricia could appeal, could file again in 6 months, could continue building her case. I needed to be careful. Document everything. Keep the restraining order active, not give her any ammunition. Detective Campos said the investigation was moving forward. They were building a case. But prosecution was up to the DA. They'd need more than just the switched pills. They'd need to prove Patricia did it, prove intent. That was harder. I asked about Emma. Detective Campos said CPS had done a welfare check. Emma was fine. No signs of abuse or neglect. Patricia was a functioning parent. They had no basis for removal. I could file for grandparent visitation rights, but that took months, and Patricia could fight it. I drove home. First time I'd slept in my own bed in a week, changed the locks that afternoon, had a security company install cameras, front door, back door, all windows. Anyone came near my house, I'd have video. Sat in the living room that night, same chair where I'd sat with Helen, same lamp, same view of the backyard we'd planted together. Everything familiar, everything safe now. But it didn't feel like home anymore. Felt like a place I was defending, territory I had to guard. Patricia had poisoned that too. Wednesday morning, Emma's school called. Said Emma had missed 3 days. Said Patricia had called in sick, but they were concerned. Required a doctor's note for absences over 2 days. I called Detective Campos. She contacted CPS again. Emergency welfare check. They went to Patricia's condo that afternoon. Patricia answered the door. Emma was there. Said she'd had a stomach bug. Was feeling better. Going back to school Thursday. CPS documented the visit. Couldn't prove anything was wrong. But I knew. Patricia was keeping Emma home, coaching her, making sure Emma didn't talk to anyone. Didn't tell anyone what she'd seen. Thursday afternoon, I parked across from Emma's school, waited at dismissal, saw Patricia pick Emma up. Emma got in the car, head down. Not the bright, energetic kid I knew. Something was wrong. Friday. Detective Campos called. DA had reviewed the case, was declining to prosecute. Insufficient evidence. No way to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Patricia had switched the pills. Emma's testimony alone wasn't enough. Lab results proved the pills were wrong, but didn't prove who switched them. Pharmacy error couldn't be ruled out completely. Without video evidence or confession, no case. Patricia was going to walk. I sat with that for a long time. The injustice, the rage. Patricia had tried to kill me. Was going to get away with it. Was still parenting Emma. Still living her life. Still driving her Lexus and going to work events and posting on Facebook. Still had access to Emma. Martin Webb said I could pursue civil action, sue for emotional distress, for the financial transfers, might win, might get some money back. But it would take years, cost thousands, and Patricia would fight every step. I thought about that. Thought about years of court battles, depositions, legal fees. Seeing Patricia's face across conference tables, fighting over money she'd already spent. Thought about Emma, growing up watching her mother and grandfather destroy each other in court. There had to be another way. Saturday morning I called Patricia's ex-husband, David. Hadn't spoken to him since the divorce 3 years ago. He'd moved 2 states away, remarried, started over, told him everything. The pills, the investigation, the guardianship attempt, Emma witnessing Patricia switch the medications. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said he wasn't surprised. Said he'd left Patricia because she'd gotten dangerous. Wouldn't elaborate. Said he'd signed away custody because Patricia had threatened to destroy him if he fought. She'd had documentation of his mental instability, his anger issues. None of it true. All of it carefully constructed. He'd had no money for lawyers, no way to fight. So he'd left. Asked if he'd testify if I could get custody of Emma. He said yes. Said he'd been waiting 3 years for someone to stop Patricia. Said he'd help however he could. I hired a family lawyer, Angela Chen. She specialized in grandparent rights, said my case was unusual but not impossible, especially with the restraining order, the police investigation, the documented danger to me. We could argue Patricia posed a risk to Emma. David agreed to testify. Dr. Vance agreed to testify. Detective Campos agreed to submit her investigation file. Filed for emergency custody Monday morning. Hearing scheduled for the following week. Patricia's lawyer filed an immediate counter-motion, claiming I was using the legal system to harass her client, claiming I was unstable, vindictive, trying to alienate Emma from her mother. The hearing was brutal. Both sides presented evidence. I had the restraining order, the police investigation, David's testimony about Patricia's patterns of manipulation, Dr. Vance's testimony about the medical danger. Patricia had 3 years of being primary parent. Emma's school record showing good attendance, good grades, no signs of abuse. Character witnesses saying she was a devoted mother. The judge appointed a guardian ad litem. Laura Murphy, she'd investigate. Interview Emma. Interview both parents. Submit a recommendation. That process took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of not knowing if Emma was safe. Not knowing what Patricia was telling her. Not knowing if I'd ever see my granddaughter again. Laura Murphy interviewed me twice. Asked about my health, my living situation, my plans if I got custody. What I could offer Emma that Patricia couldn't. I told her the truth. I could offer safety, honesty, a home where people didn't poison each other, where love wasn't conditional on someone's bank account. She interviewed Patricia, interviewed Emma. I wasn't there, didn't know what was said. The recommendation came back in late May. Laura Murphy recommended primary custody remain with Patricia, recommended supervised visitation for me, said Emma was bonded with her mother, said removing her would be traumatic, said my allegations, while concerning, hadn't been proven in criminal court, said the best interest of the child was stability. I sat in Angela Chen's office reading that recommendation, felt something break inside me. Not anger anymore, something deeper. Grief, maybe. Loss. I'd lost. Patricia won. Emma would grow up with a woman who'd tried to kill her grandfather, who'd use her, manipulate her, teach her that family was transactional, that love was currency. Angela said we could appeal, fight the recommendation, but judges usually followed the guardian ad litem's advice. Our chances were slim. I told her to proceed with the appeal anyway, not because I thought we'd win, because I needed Emma to know someday that I'd fought, that I hadn't given up, that someone had tried to protect her even when it didn't work. The appeal hearing was set for July. June passed slowly. I lived in my house. Doors locked, cameras running. Watched recorded footage sometimes. Empty street, quiet neighborhood. No threats, no danger, just isolation. Neighbors stopped coming by. Patricia's Facebook post had done its work. People thought I was sick, confused, dangerous maybe. Some left meals on the porch, rang the doorbell and left before I answered, like I was contagious. My old co-workers stopped calling, stopped emailing, decided I was too far gone, not worth the effort. I had Martin Webb, Angela Chen, Detective Campos, who called occasionally to check in. That was it. July 10th. Appeal hearing, same courthouse, different judge. Judge Williams. Woman in her 50s. Sharp eyes. No-nonsense expression. Angela presented new evidence. Medical records showing my symptoms resolved completely after I stopped taking the switched pills. David's testimony about Patricia's history of manipulation. Documentation of the $127,300 in financial transfers. Pattern of exploitation. Patricia's lawyer countered. Said I was bitter about the money. Said I was trying to punish Patricia by taking Emma. Said Emma loved her mother, was thriving. Said I was elderly, single, male, not equipped to raise a 7-year-old girl. Judge Williams asked to speak to Emma. In chambers, private. Just the judge and Emma and the guardian ad litem. They were in there for 40 minutes. I sat in the courtroom, praying to a God I wasn't sure I believed in anymore, asking for just this one thing: keep Emma safe. Judge Williams came back, face unreadable, asked both lawyers to approach the bench, spoke quietly. Patricia's lawyer's expression changed, shocked, angry. Court reconvened. Judge Williams looked at Patricia, then at me. I've spoken with Emma. She's a bright, articulate child who is very clear about what she witnessed. While the criminal investigation didn't result in prosecution, this is a civil matter with a different burden of proof. Based on Emma's testimony, the medical evidence, and the documented financial exploitation, I have concerns about Emma's safety and her mother's care. Patricia stood up. Your Honor, this is... Judge Williams held up her hand. Mrs. Brennan, I'm not finished. I'm granting temporary custody to Mr. Brennan pending a full investigation. You'll have supervised visitation weekly. If the investigation supports Emma's account, custody will become permanent. Patricia's face went crimson. You can't do this. She's my daughter. He's lying. He's manipulating her. Mrs. Brennan, control yourself or I'll hold you in contempt. Your daughter described in detail watching you switch medication bottles. She described being afraid to tell anyone. She described you coaching her to say she was confused. That testimony, combined with the physical evidence, is sufficient for temporary custody change. Judge Williams banged her gavel. Mr. Brennan, Emma will be released to you today. CPS will supervise the transition. Court adjourned. I sat there. Couldn't move. Couldn't process. Had I heard that right? Custody? Emma? Angela grabbed my arm, grinning. Arthur, we won. You won. Patricia was screaming. her lawyer trying to quiet her. Security approaching. She pointed at me. "You did this. You turned her against me. She's my daughter." Judge Williams called security. Patricia was escorted out, still screaming, still blaming me. Emma was brought from a side room, saw me, ran, wrapped her arms around my waist, held on tight. "Grandpa, I told the truth. I told her everything. I'm sorry I didn't tell before. I was scared." I knelt down, looked at her. This 7-year-old girl who'd saved my life, who'd been brave when I'd needed her to be. "You have nothing to be sorry for. You did exactly right. You're safe now." She cried. I held her in a courthouse hallway with CPS workers and lawyers and strangers walking past. None of it mattered. Emma was safe. That was everything. CPS supervised the transition to my house. Emma brought one suitcase, her favorite stuffed animal, a few books. Patricia had packed almost nothing. Probably thought she'd get Emma back in a day. A week at most. That night, Emma and I ordered pizza, sat at the kitchen table, the one I'd refinished twice. She asked if she was staying forever. I told her the truth. I didn't know. Depended on the investigation. Depended on what happened next. But as long as I had any say, she was staying with me. She was safe here. She asked if her mom was sick. If that's why she'd done those things, I didn't know how to answer that. Didn't want to lie. Didn't want to poison Emma against her mother the way Patricia had tried to poison me. "I think your mom made some very bad choices. I don't know why. But none of it was your fault. You didn't cause it. You couldn't have stopped it. You just told the truth when it mattered. That took courage." Emma nodded, ate her pizza, asked if she could sleep in the guest room, Helen's old sewing room that I'd never changed. That night I lay awake in my bed, listening to Emma breathe in the next room. Same house, different world. Everything had changed. Patricia filed an emergency appeal, demanded immediate return of custody, claimed I'd coached Emma, manipulated her, claimed Emma wasn't safe with me. Judge denied the appeal, said the custody order stood pending investigation. Patricia showed up at my house, violated the restraining order, demanded to see Emma. I had it on camera, called police. She was arrested, released same day, given a warning. She tried calling. I blocked her number. She tried emailing. I set up filters. She tried showing up at Emma's school. School security escorted her off property. She was unraveling, desperate, losing control. The investigation took 3 months. CPS interviewed Emma repeatedly, interviewed me, interviewed Patricia, reviewed medical records, police reports, bank statements, everything. Their report came back in October, recommended permanent custody to me, cited concerns about Patricia's manipulation, the medication tampering, the financial exploitation, the emotional harm to Emma from witnessing the conflict, recommended supervised visitation only, monthly, in a neutral location, could be increased if Patricia completed parenting classes and mental health evaluation. Patricia's lawyer filed objections, demanded trial, demanded full custody restoration. The trial was set for January, but Patricia never showed up. Week before the trial, her lawyer withdrew. Patricia had left the state. No forwarding address, no contact information, just gone. Emma asked about her sometimes. I told her truthfully. Your mom left. I don't know where she went. I don't know if she's coming back, but you're safe here. You're staying here. That won't change. Emma's been with me for 8 months now. She's 8 years old, doing well in school, made friends, started gymnastics, normal kid stuff. Sometimes at night she has nightmares. Wakes up scared. I sit with her until she falls back asleep. Tell her she's safe. Tell her I'm here. Changed my will. Everything goes to Emma now. Trust fund she can't access until she's 25. Education fund. The house held in trust for her. She'll never need anything, never be vulnerable the way I was. Martin Webb says Patricia could come back, could try again, file for custody restoration. I keep the cameras running, keep the documentation, keep everything locked down tight. But I don't think she's coming back. Patricia wanted money, wanted control, wanted easy solutions. Emma isn't easy. Emma is expensive. Emma takes time and effort and actual love. Patricia doesn't have that. Maybe never did. I'm 72 now. Got maybe 10 good years left if I'm lucky. Less if my health fails. But those 10 years? They're Emma's. Every morning, every school pickup, every gymnastics meet, every birthday, every ordinary Tuesday that feels like nothing special until you realize it's everything. Helen would have loved this, would have loved having Emma here, would have loved seeing her grow up in this house. I talk to Helen sometimes, late at night, when Emma's asleep. Tell her about our granddaughter, about how brave she is, how smart, how she saved her grandfather's life just by telling the truth. Patricia's out there somewhere, maybe planning her next move, maybe moved on to someone else, some other mark, some other victim. But she's not getting Emma, not getting my house, not getting another dollar from me. She tried to kill me. Almost succeeded. Would have if not for a 7-year-old girl who paid attention, who spoke up, who was braver than most adults I've known. That's the story. That's how my daughter tried to poison me and lost everything. How my granddaughter saved my life. People ask sometimes if I miss Patricia, if I hope she comes back, if I want reconciliation. The answer is no. You don't reconcile with someone who tried to kill you. You don't reconcile with someone who saw you as nothing but a bank account and a life insurance policy. You protect the people who matter. You build the life you have left. You make sure the kids who did the right thing don't regret it. That's what I'm doing. That's all I can do. Emma just called from her room. Needs help with math homework. Same table where her mother used to do homework. Full circle. Different ending. Better ending. If you like this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for being with us.